Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about play action plays that you can run off of jet sweep and the jet sweep play, and we're going to talk about two different types of plays. One's going to be a sort of curl slot concept, and then the second one is going to be a certain type of deep shot that you can. I'm going to talk about a couple different variations of the deep shot that you can take off the play action, off of jet sweep, with different routes kind of mixed in. So yeah, different variations of the deep shot. And we're going to start with the curl slot though. And the curl slot concept, we're going to first talk about it on how to run it off of a 7-man front look. So 2 high, again, that means 2 safeties are going to be up here. And 7-man front means 1, 2, 3, 4. The Will, Mike, Sam. So we have 3 backers in here, right? So we're going to talk about 7-man front, then we're going to move on to an 8-man front. And I'm going to explain the play in terms of the responsibility of each position group and each position individually. So what I'm going to start with is going to be the offensive line. So, and just the protection as a whole. So we are going to have 6 people protecting. And again, we're running this out of I'm presuming you guys can see a 2x2 formation. So that means 2 receivers on each side of the formation. And so we'll talk about protection. So on the front side, or the strong side of the formation, because we'll talk about on the front side, which is going to be the right side here. The front side offensive lineman, being this tackle and this guard, they're going to play man on their guys. So they're going to go to the tackle, to the edge, right? They're going to play man on him. The other 3 guys, the backside offensive linemen, including the center, so the guard, the tackle, and the center, they're going to play zone blocking, which means they're going to get their gap. So the center is going to get his A gap, backside A gap. This guard is going to get backside B gap. And tackle's going to get the C gap. What's going to happen is we're going to have our tailback right here, and he is going to stay in protection as well, and he's going to read from inside pressure to outside pressure. So he's first, if anyone comes, right, let's say any of these backers, the defense brings more pressure, more people to come and blitz the quarterback, the tailback's going to read inside to outside. So if there's a guy coming through the interior of the line, he's going to pick up that man first. Now, if there's 2 guys, that becomes a problem. We'll talk about how to get out of that situation in a bit. But his main priority is going to be reading inside to outside protection. We're going to have 6 guys back, right? So our 5 offensive linemen and our tailback makes it 6. And let's talk about the routes now. So pretty simple. On the backside X, we got our post, okay? Our Z, so because this is called the curl slot concept, we're going to have our Z running the curl. And our Y is going to be running out of the slot. He's going to be running the spot route. And he's going to kind of hook inside there. Now, the last person that I'm going to talk about in terms of a route is going to be H, who's going to be our number 2 receiver on the weak side, because you count 1, 2 from the outside in. And he is going to be running across. He's going to be our jet sweep guy, right? So he's going to run across. And to display action, he's going to release, right? And his release is basically going to be a flat, right? He's going to go to the flat. It's going to kind of be like a bubble. And yeah, that's going to be a flat route. And so we have our curl by the Z, our flat route by the H coming across on the jet sweep motion. We have our Y from the slot running a spot route, and then our X running a backside post. Now, we talked about our protection. We talked about our routes. Now let's talk about the read the quarterback needs to make. So he's going to be reading from outside in, I guess you could say. Well, not really. He's going to start with the curl, then he's going to progress to the spot, and then he's going to progress to the flat. Okay, so his reads are going to be curl, spot, flat. That's the way it's going to go. Now, let's talk about the backers. If the Mike and the Sam come, these guys, these guys is who the quarterback is reading. If they come, then the quarterback is going to have to throw hot. If only one of them comes, then he's not going to have to throw hot. Again, what throwing hot means is throwing your hot route or your hot routes, and a hot route is something to get the ball out quickly. It's kind of incorporated into a play. It's like the primary route that you want to throw to if you're under pressure as a quarterback. So if you see like a bunch of guys coming at you and you don't, like, obviously you don't want to take the sack, you're trying to get the ball out quick, make the play a positive play, or at least keep it from being a negative one. You're trying to get it to your hot receiver or your hot route. And in this play, our hot routes are not going to be, even though his reads progress from the curl to the spot to the flat, the hot routes are going to be the spot and the flat, okay? He's going to be looking this way. He's going to be seeing the backers coming. He's just going to get it out either to the flat or he's going to get it to his slot receiver on the spot route in that hook zone in the middle. I think I mentioned this, but I just want to reiterate that the tailback and the quarterback, both of them are going to be responsible for reading these two backers. So like I just talked about the quarterback, the tailback, I touched on this kind of briefly. He's going to be reading inside to out. So if one of these guys comes inside, he's going to pick them up, right? If both of these guys come, that's what it's going to take to make the quarterback throw hot. So it takes two to throw hot in this scenario. And if it's just one, we're fine because they got four and we got a tailback right here to pick up one extra blitzer. So that is how we can run it off of a 7-man front. And now we can talk about the 8-man front, so a single high look. So 8-man front, again, is instead of having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you're going to have your 4 on your D-line, a Will, a Mike, a Sam, and a strong safety. Okay, so you're going to have a 4 and a 4. You're going to have 8-man front, and you're going to have this strong safety disappears because he's come down, and this free safety is going to move to center field, if you will. Right, so that's the single high look part, and this is the 8-man front. How we're going to run this is pretty much the same exact thing, only now, because our hot routes are on the right, the quarterback's going to be looking this way. That's why the hot routes are on the right? That's why they're on the strong side of the formation. He's not going to be as aware of what's coming from his backside or behind him because he's looking in this direction. So now that they've got 4 and 4, they can choose to bring 1, 2, 3, 4 pressure from this side or 1, 2, 3, 4 pressure from this side. If they bring from here, it's easy to see the quarterback. The quarterback, it's going to be easy for him to see, and he's going to be able to throw it to one of his hot routes pretty quick. What he won't be able to see is his backside, because that's not going to really be his primary focus. So what we're going to do with this tailback, if this is against the 8-man front, is this tailback he's going to come across. So play starts, he's coming across, right? Now we've got our center, our guard, our tackle, and a tailback. 4 blockers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 defenders. We're good here. It's 4 on 4. We've protected our backside. That leaves us exposed here, right? So the quarterback's going to have to make his reads pretty quickly, and he's going to have to get the ball out quick if there is a blitz for some reason from the strong safety or the Sam, and that's who he's going to be reading in this case. That is really the only difference. Again, he's going to have to throw it quicker if they come because we're more exposed here. The tailback is moved to the left. So in this scenario, it's going to take 1 to throw hot. So because we don't have our tailback on our right side anymore, right? So we don't have numbers to block. Out of the Sam, the strong safety, it's going to just take 1. It takes 1 to throw hot, right? Because the minute one of them comes, we're exposed. Because right now, we're 2 on 2 on this side. If a third guy comes, we don't have a blocker for that. So that is how to run that sort of curl slot concept against a 8-man front off play action, off of jet sweep motion. Next thing I want to talk about is a deep shot. This is the second type of play action play that you can use off of the jet sweep. And this is going to keep the defense honest, because let's say you've been having a lot of success with the jet sweep. A team has been having a lot of success. They're going to want to keep the defense guessing. So the minute the defense starts creeping up, you're going to want to maybe take a deep shot over the top to burn them, to make them respect the length of the field. So what the deep shot's going to look like is it's going to be Z running a deep post. So the routes are going to be different, obviously, right? Because it's going to be deep shots, not the post flat concept anymore. The Z is going to be a deep post, right? We're stretching the field here. Now, the Y, he's going to run a dig. He's going to run a dig. It's actually a poor drawing. Where's my marker? All right, so the Z is going to run the post, the Y is going to run the dig. All right, and our X is going to be running, you can do a lot of different things with the X here, because what I'm going to talk about is usually when you have a single high safety, you have an 8-man front, this backside receiver, this X, he's going to usually be isolated, which means he's going to be one-on-one. So if we're going to have a one-on-one matchup, and usually the X is the best receiver anyway, you can run something like a double move, like a post corner, or something like maybe a longer stem, and then like a comeback, right? Just keep in mind as I explain this, we're always going to have X one-on-one. More often than not, we're going to have X one-on-one. Our best player one-on-one, best receiver one-on-one on the backside. Because this is the strong side of the formation, the defense is probably going to shift to cover all these players. The field is going to be pretty open on this side. So if the quarterback's ever in trouble, you can always try to exploit the one-on-one matchup if your guy's better than his. So in this situation, the protection, let's talk about the protection. The H is still going to be the same. He's a jet sweep motion. The tailback, he's not going to be the same. He's going to be a bit different. So tailback, actually more similar to the curl slot concept against the 7-man front. He's just going to block out here. All right, so we're going to still have 6 guys. Now the offensive line is going to be a bit different. So what's going to happen is, instead of playing man on the right and zone on the left, it's going to be the whole offensive line sliding to the, well, they're not going to slide to the left, but they're going to pull. So let's erase these. You're just going to pull. Okay. So when that happens, the tailback's going to get this exposed side, a little bit more exposed than usual, right? And that's going to be our protection. One more thing, the jet sweep is not going to release into the flat anymore. Because this is play action, and I shouldn't say it's just play action. It's a deep shot off of play action. It's going to need time to develop. You're going to need to let your give your receivers time to get downfield. So if we need to give them time, that means we need more guys to protect, because protection is going to break down if we don't have enough guys. If we need to give our receivers more time to get down the field, so we need to keep more guys as a safety blanket in protection to let our Z get by his defender on the post, to let our Y kind of work his route across the middle of the field. So that's why we're going to have a 7-man protection. Again, 5 offensive linemen. I think I've talked about it often enough in previous videos. Max protection is a 7-man protection. That's when you have the most amount of people you should be keeping in to protect. And there it is. So it's going to be 5. Our H and our tailback makes it 7. So that is going to be the protection. Those are going to be our routes, as you can see on the board from the receivers. And our quarterback, what he's going to do is he's going to read the free safety. This guy is going to be the focal point of the play, because depending on what he does, that's where the quarterback's going to throw the ball. Now, this is assuming that you've either had success with jet sweep, or your jet sweep heavy team or outside running team or just a run-heavy team, I guess. In any case, the strong safety has already crept down because they're an 8-man front, right? And he's coming down to set this edge, right? So that's what we're assuming here. And that, like I just said, leaves the free safety as the prime person to read for the quarterback. So basically, if the free safety creeps, if he creeps down in here to fill the strong safety's hole that strong safety has just left as he creeps down into the box, or further down into the box, we can have the post in this hole, right? Now, if the free safety does not creep, and he understands that they've got enough people down there in the box, and he needs to play center field, and he goes out here, right? This hole is no longer there, but now this middle of the field area has been vacated, and this strong safety has pulled. So now what you see is, this is the new view, right? Free safety to protect the hole here. Strong safety to protect this edge right here. Look at this dig coming across, right? So the quarterback's going to probably try to fit it in between the... So that's if the free safety travels to play the hole, or he just backtracks maybe somewhere here. You can try to fit the ball in between a linebacker window, like a Sam and a Will, or Sam and a Mike, sorry. Or you can try to fit it in between a strong safety and the Sam. Now that is against an 8-man front. We're going to talk about something that's going to make it even more complicated for the defense against a 7-man front. So what that's going to look like is, and it's going to be more complicated because of a certain route that we're going to put in. Everything else is basically going to stay the same, except for that one route, and that's going to cause some problems because, you know, teams make mistakes, and they're likely to do so in what I'm about to explain. So what's going to change is, well, what has changed is going to be the two high look, and we've got our 7-man box, right? Our 7-man front. The protection stays the same. You still got the tailback coming outside, the H. So this is going to be the C gap, right? Sorry, that was a bad C. And this is going to be D gap. All right. So what's going to happen is our protection is going to remain the same. Our routes on the front side are going to remain the same. The back side, though. And again, real quick, I just want to say, in the 8-man front, you are always going to have your X receiver one-on-one in the single high look. Usually you're going to have the X receiver one-on-one. So that's always a good option to try to take a shot downfield, maybe on that corner post that I talked about, maybe on a deep comebacker. And you always got your dig in between the windows if the free safety goes, if he floats, and if he bites, then you got the post in behind. Coming back to the 7-man front. So what our X receiver, what's going to change is our X receiver, he's going to be running a shallow cross. Okay? Now this is going to create problems for the defense. The first thing you should notice is how these receivers are basically running in opposite directions. And that's going to put these linebackers in a bind. The Mike and the Sam are going to be put in a tough position. So again, same thing with the strong safety, because the free safety is playing out here. If the strong safety goes, you got the dig in between the windows, right? In between the Sam and the Mike. And now the windows are larger because you got 3 people on the defense to cover the width of the field, as opposed to in the 8-man front where you had 4. So the windows are larger. It gives the quarterback a higher percentage throw, completion percentage. That's going to be expected against 7-man front. If the strong safety, he bites, you got the post in behind, right? That stuff is obvious. That stuff is going to stay the same. But what's really interesting is that if the free safety, if we go back to that idea of the free safety floating, you have the Y coming across on a dig that's going to create communication problems anyway for the linebackers. But then you got this shallow cross coming underneath. And if the will follows him, right, I would think it's a favorable matchup, a linebacker against maybe our best receiver. Maybe he's a quick receiver, a speedy receiver. He's coming across. If the dig takes the intermediate level off the Mike and the Sam, miscommunication, they both go with the dig. Well, congratulations, you got this whole space waiting for the shallow cross. Now, if one of these guys take him and they bite, right, you got the dig immediately. If the Mike takes him and the Sam runs with him, well, you got the middle of the field, right, because the Mike's vacated. So there's a lot of different things that you can do now with this 7-man front and a shallow cross incorporated on the backside from your ex-receiver, your best receiver. A lot of drawings right here, so we're going to erase all of this. But that is basically what I wanted to talk about in this video. Just a quick recap. We talked about the curl slot concept, and we also talked about 2 different variations of a deep shot, with the first one being against an 8-man front and the second one being against a 7-man front. And we covered the routes, we covered the protection, and yeah, this would kind of be called like it would be a high-low situation for the linebackers, because they'd have to communicate on who to get with the shallow cross and the dig coming across. And that is it for today. Thanks for watching, guys.